So my name is Himanshu, and currently this podcast is brought to you by DevCrusade. And so today, we are discussing about campus placements, fueling your placement aspirations with expert insights. And yes, of course, this is a live podcast. All right. So before going ahead, just a small intro about this podcast actually. So all of you know about current situation of the market scenario. You know that big companies like Infosys, Wipro, and various other we can say MNCs and others aren't hiring new graduates. And Accenture even plans to hire only 21,000 people, down from 70,000 last year, and TCS is hiring only 40,000 compared to 1 lakh last year, right? So all of you know about our YCC's last year placement statistics. If not, you should get aware about it, right? So today we are going to talk about placements and how you can prepare well for your placements this year in 2024, right? So today we have with us Amit, and Amit is currently solution consultant at Sahaj Software. And thank you, Amit, for joining us into this podcast. We are glad to have you on board.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, right. So let's start with the questioning then, Amit. So what we did is we had floated a Google form, and in that we had number of participants questions. So we are having those questions, and we will start with those questions one by one, Amit. So these questions are to you from third year, second year people. So I hope you can guide them to the correct path.
I'm visible, right?
Yeah, you are. All right.
Yeah,
So, hi
thanks.
Amit once again. So,
Yeah, hi.
yeah. So, okay, fine. Now let's start. So, Amit, I just now told these guys about the current market situation, and there is just one more statistics which I would like to tell that from CTech department. So, I am from CTech department at YCC, and even Amit is from CT. So, he's our super senior. So from CT actually in 2023, so when we were in our 7th sem, so only 39 people have been given a full-time position out of around 150 or 160, right? So the market scenario is pretty down. So Amit, would you like to comment on this? Anything?
Yeah, so I think like people did not hope for this because after COVID, people thought that there would be a downfall, but still a boom in tech. But what happened was due to like market conditions and there are some basically due to economic risk, tech companies also started hiring less as well as doing the layoffs and all. So still the market is uh, the same. People like the companies are still not hiring as often as they were earlier, but they're still like few domains that where companies are interested, like AI and cybersecurity, where there are still active roles. So, like companies are either pushing the current folks who have already joined the company to either upskill them on these domains or hiring a good talent from outside. So yeah, the market's situation is still bad, but there are like few silver linings to it as well.
Yeah, right. So about this thing, as Amit said that there are a few domains like AI and stuff which are still in boom. So I would like to tell you guys that just to add on that companies which are coming into our college, they are not specifically looking for AI and ML domain people, right? So they are just looking a simple like a guy who completely understands the fundamentals of computer technology or computer science. So they are hiring for these type of roles. Even if you have good developmental skills, you should have good fundamentals. Your fundamentals should be good, and your coding should be good. So we will talk about this. So let's go to the next question, Amit. So this is just a general question which almost everyone has. So what are the different rounds typically involved in on-campus and off-campus placements? And if you can elaborate on them, it would be good.
Yeah, so generally, it depends based on the company, but there are generally like three types of rounds. One is like your filtering round where where there's generally like either MCQ based or aptitude or simple coding questions. And the second type are technical rounds. So technical rounds can be like technical rounds can have multiple rounds within themselves. Like some companies just have only one round where you have an interview, or there can be multiple where they would give you a harder set of coding round and then a technical interview. And the last one is, I think, your HR round. Like HR round is mostly like your so the company is basically trying to judge whether you will be a good fit in the company. So yeah, it depends on the company, but mostly these are the only three types of round. The number of rounds varies depending on the companies. Like if you would see Fang have a higher number of rounds where they focus more on the technical round. So they have 2 to 3 technical rounds, whereas in like mass recruiters, they only have one round only. And if you talk about startups generally have like so the thing with startups is they don't want to like spend much on hiring. They want to quickly hire a good candidate. So what they mostly focus on is they would have a longer round. So there will be only like 2 to 3 rounds, but each round will be quite long because they want to judge you as fast as possible, and they don't want to keep scheduling it. And I think if you talk about off campus, then you would have more number of filtering rounds, because the number of people applying to them are more, and they can't process every candidate through technical round. So there you would see, based on the number of candidates applying to them, you would see larger number of uh, filtering rounds like MCQs, simple coding questions, telephonic rounds, and all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, like to summarize this, there are like basically three types of rounds. First one can be aptitude round, second one can be a coding round, and third one is generally HR or interview type of round, right? So, that's almost pretty much covers it. So, let's move to the next questions. That so in CSE, in CS placements, the most important thing is coding, right? So, Amit, can you tell us that how can one person effectively prepare for coding rounds? So it also includes DSA type of questions and also competitive programming type of questions.
So I think most people like try to like overthink about it. You don't like, so there are a few simple rules to it. You have to be consistent. If you are not consistent, if you leave doing coding questions for like, let's say, a month, or month also, you would lose track of it. So consistency is the most important thing. Next is start from the basics. You don't have to like uh, you don't have to go solve the toughest question initially. Start from the basics, because understanding the basics will help you solve the harder questions. So generally what you would see is harder questions are basically like you can break them down into 2 or 3 set of easy to medium level concepts, and then you have to combine them, and that's where the complexity comes. So you then have to know the basics, right? As well as when you are giving like coding rounds, which like, when I used to give it, I used to solve every time. Like if you are not solving, you are kind of stagnant, because you are solving same like questions to the same level. So you would want to increase your level, right? So upsolving is also important. Apart from that, form like groups, because doing it alone, you easily lose motivation. Either you get caught up into other things, or you get demotivated, or so having a pair, like having 2 to 3 set of people who are as motivated as you to uh, keep doing that helps a lot in the long run, because as well as there's a sense of competition as well. Like if my friend is doing better than him, I would like naturally try harder to catch up to him, right? So uh, forming groups is also good for you. Apart from them, like don't just time box. So when you solve a harder question, time box it, because like wasting 2 hours or 3 hours doesn't make sense. Like you would generally do have other things as well that you have to read about, learn about. So time box the question. If you can't solve it, then maybe take a hint, try again, and then if you can't even solve it, then look at the answer, and then remember it. So for remembering like the approaches, I used to keep a notebook and just jot down the things that I like found difficult. And later on, when I used to go into interviews as well as rounds, I used to revise that, so that help in a quick go through. You don't have to solve every question uh, in that short period of time. So yeah, I think those are the things that I did and I found helpful, for me at least.
Yeah, right. So you have to start from the basics, guys. So you can start from HackerRank because it's the most like it is the actually the website which gives the basic questions. You can develop your basic coding from that, and then you can move to CodeChef or Lead Code accordingly, whatever you want to prepare. And one of the most like important thing which Amit said is having a notebook for DSA and coding, right? So you have to jot down whatever important you think. And for the starters, you can have like you might have seen on LinkedIn that people are having 50 days streak or 75 days streak. Like it's like 75-day challenge, right? So you might know about that 75-day hard challenge and all. So you can also have that. You can just set a rule that in a day at least have to study for 1 hour, like study like do coding for 1 hour for 75 days straight, right? So it will be a pretty good starting. Right. So let's move to the next question. So yeah, there is one important thing about internships. So Amit, how important is internship experience in the recruitment process of companies, and how to get internships while in college?
Okay. So I think internships, if you look at so like what's so the motive in the college is like go into a good company, right? But you can't, like, you don't basically know what good means, right? For me, good means what good means might be different than what others might feel, right? So internship kind of gives you like a flavor of how the industry works, how the company works, how what are the daily day-to-day activities that you would have to do, how would you communicate, whether are you a good communicator as well, you can work upon that as well. As well as there are other benefits, like it helps you in the interview process. It like fills your resume. You get a good stipend as well as you get to connect with a lot more people, and you can grow your network, and that brings in newer set of opportunities as well. So okay. So getting an internship is like right now tough, because most companies are like hiring for the SD roles only. Like they are not hiring as much for internships. Uh, but you can try, like what I have found is like if you try, for startups are still hiring a lot of interns, because for them interns are cheaper, uh, as well as they are quick to pick up things. So if you like so if a person who stays in the industry quite long, and if you ask them to uh, change their mindset, they are not as smooth, right? So, and asking that from a college student is good for them, because you are eager to learn, you are willing to work longer hours, uh, as well as you are upfront about what you don't know, right? uh, so yeah, so like try to reach out to I think startups mostly right now in the market, because for FANG and all big companies, you won't get as much, like there's less probability of you getting a call. But startups are a good, as well as what I think is, like, what I personally believe is, uh, doing an internship at a startup is much better than doing at a like large company, because uh, large company has a lot of processes and you won't learn as much as you would learn in a startup. uh, right. I think I answered two of the questions, right? I think there was one other question I forgot. Was that?
Yeah, actually, these two other questions, but there is one add-on that if you can tell about your internship experience which you did in while
Okay.
being in college,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
type of
So,
work you did there, and how did you get that internship and all that?
okay. So I worked at a cloud company called Highland. It is a US based company. So how I got the opportunities through college only. I think one of the professors sent all of us through the whole batch a mail, and there was a hiring coding round on HackerRank, and then there was an interview with the manager, in whose team I was going to be in, right? So the coding round was it was, I think, four questions. Three of them were easy level. One of them was medium level. It was a DP question. And the inter in the interview, like, it was mostly about what projects I did. He wanted to know. What problems I faced while doing those projects, and whether I would be willing to work on the project along with college, right? So I think the interview was also around 30 to 45 minutes. uh, so during the internship, what I was given is a POC. So POC stands for proof of concept, where, so what generally you do POC basically to understand a tool or approach that you want to test in a small environment and don't want to touch the production environment. So what they wanted to do is, so like, if you would have heard about Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is a way to manage your Docker containers, right? So they wanted a testing tool. They were looking at a testing tool, and they wanted someone to look at different testing tools and compare between them, what would be a good fit to them, right? So I did a POC on that. So the testing tool was basically based on chaos engineering. So chaos engineering is a term where you intentionally inject faults into your environment, and then you see how the system behaves. So I did that. That was mostly a like solo kind of project. Like I would used to attend the stand up, but I did not like had much interaction with other folks as well. But it was fun. Yeah, I was new to the cloud environment, and I got to know the DevOps side of things. So yeah, I think it was a 4 month internship. And the stipend was also okayish. Like, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, guys, like there are some internships, like learning internships also. So, if you go to websites like AICT or even LinkedIn has some internships which are learning part, so you can complete those and also have a internship certificate in your portfolio while you are going for the interview and all, right? All right. So let's move to the next one. Should one focus more on competitive coding or mastering data structures and algorithms?
Okay. So so CP. So if you just want to uh, target FANG companies, you should do CP. But if you want a uh, overall knowledge of things, let's say you are more interested in development, but you know that generally you would have to get through a coding round and then the interview, right? So for that you still need to do coding rounds, right? So for that, doing DSA is just fine. But if you are targeting some big company, CP helps. a lot. Like, but I have seen people doing just lead code, basic DSA, and still crack Fang. Uh, but CP like forces you to think in a time constraint, which is more relevant to actual interview rounds in Fang, because Fang has a lot more coding rounds than your development rounds. Kind of, they would they want to judge. So Fang generally judges based on your thinking skill rather than how much knowledge do you have about the tools and all, right? But in the startup world it's different, it's the opposite, because they want someone to quickly start building things uh, rather than helping them learn about things, because they want the things to be quick. They want to get to the market, get the features to the market quickly. So it depends. What I would say is, if you're targeting some Fang, do CP. Uh, that's the kind of the only way. But things are still changing. But uh, if you're targeting startups, then then doing just DSA is fine, and do a lot of development. So basically, you have to pick a thing that you are very good at, and so it can be either coding or it can be a development, and based on that you can target the companies. So you have to think, what kind of company do you want to join, or whether are you interested in doing DSA, sorry, CP, for a long time or not.
All right. So, Amit, there is like extension of what you said just now. That is the next question. Is it more important to have strong developmental skills or excellent coding abilities for securing placements?
Yeah, like just like I said, it depends on the company. What I gravitated towards was, I started with CP, but I did not like it that much. So I did just the DSA bit of it. Sometimes just small bit of CP, but mostly I focused on development because I wanted to target like startup kind of company, because uh, I liked doing development work a lot, and I thought so. So the CP skills actually comes in place is when you are building algorithms, and most of the time in most of the companies you are not building algorithms, you are implementing things, and the algorithms are already in place. But let's say you are building your let's say you are working in a company that are building their own databases. Then you would have to know a good amount of CP, because you would have to think about the algorithms. How would you structure your data in the database, right? But if you are in a company where they are just using the database or some tool or some library that has already this all these things built in, you would have the work of just implementing all this and just wiring things together. So yeah, it depends on the company you are targeting.
All right, fine. So, guys, just a thing which I would like to tell you that you guys will be appearing for placements now, right? So, in generally on-campus placements, so in coding rounds, generally there are like scenario-based questions, and for preparing scenario-based questions, CodeChef is a better platform. And if you are going for interviews, so in interviews they are asking you DSA questions. Okay, so you can also have a basic DSA knowledge. You should have that arrays, strings, and even like till trees and all. So they do ask those in interviews. But for cracking the rounds, you should have good competitive programming knowledge, right? All right. So let's move to the next one. Mm, okay. So, Amit, you are currently a solution consultant at Sahaj. So, tell us about Sahaj's recruitment process in on-campus process actually. And next one is how, like, what actually you are working on currently, and how is the overall Sahaj experience, we can say.
Okay. So, if I talk about the recruitment process of Sahaj, so Sahaj changes the recruitment rounds every year. Like, so earlier they used to have first round as well, MCQ, and the next one was coding, and after that there was the interview, and then HR. So Sahaj generally combines its technical and HR round in one single round, because so the person who is doing your technical round would also judge you on the HR round as well, right? Because in Sahaj, why that is, because in Sahaj everyone is a solution consultant. There's no role for kind of HR that that we generally know of. But for the year that I got recruited, the process was, first round was CTF. So CTF stands for capture the flag. So what it basically is, you are given some set of problems, and they have hidden basically a code in it, right? So let's say there's a website. Somewhere in the website there's a hidden code. You have to use your knowledge of basically web development and other things, and find out the code. So that is called a flag basically. So capture the flag stand for getting that code, and then you have to submit that. And if that is correct, you would move to a next set of problems. So what they did was, it was a CTF round where you would where we had a you started with one problem, and as you progress, you get a harder set of problem, and you get point for each problem that you solve. So what they did is basically they asked us to form teams, and then we did the CTF round, and they shortlisted some teams based on the score that we had. So after that there was a hackathon. So it was a 2-day hackathon. So it was on the weekend. So it started on Saturday, and it ended on Sunday, right? So they gave us, for the hackathon, they gave us 5 like general domain. Like uh, one was healthcare, one was transportation, uh, one was I think fraud detection or some security related. So they gave us 5 domains, and each team can choose any domain they want. Each team can choose their own problem statement. So did not give us a problem statement. They basically generally gave us the 5 domains. Within those, you can pick any problem statement and implement your solution. So that was a 2-day hackathon. And so they did not select the folks who won, kind of. So there was first prize, second prize, third prize, but they during the hackathon, the folks from Sahaj like talked to each and every individual, and uh, basically so they judged basically whether you know stuff what you are using. Do you know the basics? Do you know how to implement things? How do you solve problem? What's your uh, problem solving approach, right? So they talked to all the participants of the hackathon, and they shortlisted some candidates. My team did not won. Like I think my team was fifth, but still I got shortlisted. I think 3 to 5 folks I think got shortlisted, and the final round was an interview round. So in the interview round was also pretty interesting, because they did not talk about what projects I did. They they gave so they basically asked what what computer science domain you like about. So I said OS, and then they started asking me questions. So the approach they took was like, whenever I used to answer a question, they would go into one more layer of depth behind that. So they wanted to really know whether the candidate understands the things from the most basic. So they wanted to check your first principle thinking. So given a problem, can you think from the smallest blocks and build your solution on top of it? So so they basically did DFS on depth first search. So they started from a question like what is a process, and we ended up in deadlocks and hard disk, how hard disk is implemented. right? So all this was, so it was pretty ad hoc. It was not like structured in any way. uh, and at the end of the interview, they like ask HR questions like, why do you want to work at Sahaj? uh, why do what value do you see in Sahaj? Did you read about what Sahaj's values are? uh, what kind of work are you interested in doing in Sahaj? What like preconceptions do you have about working in a company? So all these questions they ask. So I think my interview went for 2.5 hours. For 2 hours it was technical, and last half hours was technical. Last half hour was HR related. Right? Uh, okay. Uh, to answer your second question, like what experience have I had like at Sahaj? uh, was, I think, so as I said, Sahaj does not have Sahaj only has one type of role, which is solution consultant. So as you can understand from that, you would have to do everything. So you would have to talk to the client as well. You would have to write the application. You would have to deploy your application to a cloud provider as well. So all these things you have to do that. All that comes under a single title only. So there's no DevOps team that will check whether that will deploy your code, or there's no security team where they will test whether your application can be whether there are any security holes in your application. So in that sense, Sahaj, like I found like I got to learn a lot of things across a lot of domains. And there are like, so naturally you can't go into like too much depth in one single thing, but you have to know the whole stack to build a solution. So I understood that from people here. So the current project that I am on like is like basically data related, streaming related, where we are using some like cool technologies like Kafka and all streaming. Uh, so it's fun, like I'm learning about scalability, because the projects that I earlier worked on were not that scalable, because the number of users were pretty less. But the current project that I am on has a lot of scale. So here you have to understand how do you design your application, whether your applications can scale. What happens if your application crashes? How will you handle that? Uh, how will you ensure that your user gets quick response? How do you ensure that due to a bad user, your other users are not affected? So those are the different kinds of learnings that I have had here. Yeah, and I think it's was a fun experience. People here are quite smart, like they know a lot of stuff, as well as Sahaj has a culture of curiosity. So you would find people where looking at other things, like doing hobby projects, building things, building like niche things as well. So yeah, that was my experience. It was fun.
Yeah, right. So this was about our super seniors batch. So they had a hackathon round, we can say. During our batch, Sahaj actually had first coding round. So like company allowed all the like branches students, including mechanical and all, and they like around 1,000 people, I guess, appeared for that coding round, and around they selected 50 or something, 30, 40, 50 people for next round. And again, next round was sort of hackathon. So they gave a problem statement, and they like the students had to solve that problem statement. So it was, I think, related to development only. So it was sort of backend project, we can say. So let's move to the next one. uh, right. So Amit, can you give us some interview tips and tricks and how to set ourselves apart from other candidates in interview perspective?
Okay. So like just one thing in general, that is not a tip, but that is one thing that the if you are like, if you can show whether you are really interested in tech or the domain that the company works in, the interviewer would be happy to like talk more about it, and he would. So so what's the like? Let's think from the interviewer's perspective. Like he wants to hire a candidate that knows about the domain, that has that is quick to pick up things, that is able to adapt at things, and that is a good team player, right? So the most important thing that the interviewer would judge you on, is based on like uh, your your ability to adapt, your thinking approach, and your communication skill, right? These are the three areas. So you don't have to be good at each of them. You can be good at one of them as well, right? Because in a team, you everyone is not a good communicator, everyone is not the best, most intelligent, but you would need a like mix of these people, right? So so what I would say is basically find what you are good at, and like show it off kind of. So let's say if I am good at development, I would talk about my projects more than I would talk about my DSA skills, right? uh, so doing like, so for preparing for interviews, doing mock interviews helps, because then you can hear yourself, like you can record the mock interview, and then you can hear yourself where you are like you are being silent, or whether or where you are uh, thinking, or where you are doing good, uh, right? So okay, so I don't have like that much of interview experience, because I did not do a lot of interviews, because Sahaj was the first company, and before that for internship as well, it was not that big of an interview. So I don't have any as such tips, but what I've found from people who have given a lot of interviews is that uh, you have to think from the interviewer's point of view, what he is trying to look at you during the interview, as well as how can you how can you make him understand you better, right? So talking about projects, talking about what other things that you do apart from tech, right? Sometimes that also uh, adds value to it. So in general, like normal tips would be kind of, let's say if you have projects deployed to GitHub, host it somewhere. GitHub already has GitHub pages where you can host your website, so that you can show it during the interview as well. As well as when you are doing project, try to understand why did you choose a technology. Let's say I'm doing a project using Node.js and MongoDB, right? Let's say backend project. Why am I choosing Node.js, or why am I choosing a Mongo? Why not a SQL database like Postgres, right? Because these are all the questions interviewer would ask you, because you would find like a lot of videos that just help you build stuff, but they don't tell you why that technology was chosen, or what problems does it have. So the interviewer would go into that, rather than just looking at your project uh, and saying and just seeing your tech stack, right? As well as if you're building project, one tip while building a project is maybe try to build projects where you have real users. So not like everyone is building a e-commerce clone, everyone is building a Spotify clone, right? What can you do apart from that, that will set you apart? Because if 10, let's say 10 candidates can do that, then the criteria for selecting would be something different. It won't be your project, right? So if you have a project that has real users, the interviewer would know that you have thought about your product. You have thought about not just from tech perspective, but from a product perspective, right? what needs does your user have, and that is the real thing, right? Because every company is building something. It is not just using technology, it is using technology to solve a real world problem, right? And if you can show that you are also thinking in that manner rather than just tech related things, uh, the interviewer would be quite happy, because uh, you would be able to pick things quickly, you would be able to suggest features as well, right? So yeah, that would be, I think, those would be my tips for that, for the interview.
All right. So, guys, we are having our last question to Amit for today. So, if you have any doubts or any questions which you would like to ask, so you can drop those in chat, right? So, moving to the last question, Amit, how? Okay, so firstly, Sahaj generally offers a package of around 13 LPA during our placement time also. So, it 12 LPA, 13 LPA, it differs something like that. Right. So, Amit, how is hiring different for a 5 to 6 LPA candidate, like if company is offering that package, and 10 plus LPA companies? So, how is that different? If you can have any views on that.
Yeah. Okay. So, uh, so look at it from this way, right? So generally the companies that are offering 5 to 6 are like mostly service based companies, right? So their whole model is in a way, they are a service company, they don't have their own product, they are building that product for someone else, right, for their client. So what these companies do is basically they charge the client based on the number of people, right? So they don't as such care what what is the talent of the, like, what is the like skill level of these people. They want to uh, just have as much people as possible, so that they can charge them, right? So that's why I think there's a difference between the salaries that they give. But if you talk about the job role as well, right? Most of these companies would have a specific job role, right? So let's say if you are a backend developer, you would be a backend developer in a niche, niche language, like in a specific language, let's say Python only, and your whole job is basically to write backend jobs, nothing other than that. So I think, so your role, your role is not that much bigger. That's why also there's your package is less. uh, apart from that uh, apart from that what I would say is they don't value their uh, they don't as such value their people uh, as they should, at least in my opinion. uh, but like purely from skill level, I don't think there's a difference between 6 and 12. You can do a good work in 5 to 6 LPA company as well. It depends on the company. Like, so let's say if it's a startup that pays you less, like 4 to 5 LPA, but as compared to a service based company that pays you more, you would have obviously have a lot more learning in startup, even though your salary is less. So I think salary doesn't justify it, but uh, there are other aspects, like just I talked about, like service based companies have to charge based on the number of people that are on projects. So that's where the difference comes. uh, and that's where the difficulty also comes, right? So if I want to, let's say if I'm running a company and I want to hire a person uh, who can do all of these things, i would I would test it on a harder metric, right? I would have a harder coding round, I would ask him harder questions, rather than a person whose only job would be to write a uh, specific set of code, right? So yeah, I think you can't justify it like 5 to 6 LPA versus 12, because you can do good work in both of them. Because I've seen people working at 5 to 6 LPA and then switching to a lot more package and a good company as well. Yeah.
All right. So, guys, you heard it. So, If anyone has any questions, they can drop those in the chat. And along with that, if you want to know more about DevCrusade, so you can just look at this link. You can just open up the website. And okay, so there is one question. Uh, on what parameters does a recruiter judges your projects in the resume? Should the project always be a unique solution?
Okay, so the interviewer, like as such, don't doesn't care like uh, the solution that you built. He wants to understand your approach. Why did you build the solution? What technology did you use? Why did you use those technologies? What problems did you face? Did you thought about that? What did you do to improve it, right? And it doesn't have to be a unique solution. So like as a college student, we always start from like basic projects, right? It doesn't harm you, but as you work on more and more project, try to, so in your resume is generally one pager, right? You have the space to only write 3 to 4 projects, right? So initially when during like let's say first or second years, you would have basic projects, but as you work on more better projects, try to filter out the ones that are basic and replace them with the good ones, right? And your best effort project should be on the top. Like I think that is uh, that is obvious, but yeah, it doesn't have to be unique, but uniqueness gives a like uniqueness gives you a interesting factor, right, from other candidates. So if I'm building same type of clones as the other candidate, that won't help me, right? So try to think about what domain are you interested in, what are the unique solutions that people are interested. So let's say uh, I'm interested in Go. Like I want to work in a company that uses Go programming language, right? So I would search Google, right? And I would see that a lot of CLI apps, command line apps, are built using Go. So I would use that. I would like basically build some CLI tool using Go and show it off there, right? And that is not as common as you would see anywhere else, right? So those are the set of unique. Your unique solution doesn't have to be the most unique in the whole world. It has to be just unique from most of the people who are applying to it, right? So you can think in that way as well. Yeah.
All right, right. So the second question was what type of project should we add in our resume? So if you can give a one-liner on this, Amit, it would be good.
uh, what type of project, it depends here on your domain, right? So if you are in web development, uh, like doing clones helps initially, but build something interesting. Let's say a app to set your calendars, right? Schedule meetings, uh, right? So you can see that as a clone of calendar, but Google Calendar, but you won't find it easily anywhere else, right? So you can uh, find out the use cases and then build on top of that. Yeah, so not a one liner, but yeah, depends on your domain.
All right, fine. So so that's it, guys. No questions I can see in the chat anymore. So if anyone has any questions, okay. So there is one another question again. Can you please speak something on your resume? How did you prepare your resume and what projects you made?
Okay. So I think I followed a template. I think the common template that I have found from some of the folks who were already placed. So it basically had 3 sections, I guess. One was like your personal details. Second one was your my college details, and the third one was projects. So in projects, uh, I did. I did one of the calendar thing that I talked about just now, like where you can schedule your meetings. uh, because at that time it was during COVID, right? So you would want to schedule meetings or book meetings, right? And so I've built a app where you can schedule and you can notify folks, you can share links. That was the like most effort project that I did. I did some like basic projects as well, like whiteboard and all. Yeah. From like a resume perspective, I think I did not do a lot, but in the Sahaj interview, they did not even ask about that. So yeah, from resume, I did not like prepared it that well because I knew they were not going to ask that. So yeah, just the basic projects as well as one two projects that I had good understanding about, as well as I mentioned the internship experience. So that was also uh, the thing that they ask about, where I built, where I tested a Kubernetes tool for them.
All right. So like there is another question. How much DSA is required for companies like Sahaj and WebDev too? Right. So I would like to tag that question. Amit, you can add on later on.
Yeah.
So you can like companies like Sahaj, they are looking for talented people. They are looking for curious people, right? So if you are very good into development, it will be easier for you to get into companies like this. But firstly, you would have to have very good basic understanding of whole computer science, which includes DBMS, OS, and all other fundamental subjects. And about DSA, so if you have a like, if you basically know how to solve, uh, we can say medium to easy to medium level questions of DSA, it would be good. So if you even reach to DP and all, it would be good to go ahead. But you don't have to be very expert like solving hard questions and all. It is not that much required to get into search. If you are having good, if you can solve medium level questions, so it would be good. So Amit, you can add on into this if anything.
Yeah, yeah, I think lead code medium should be fine. But one thing I would say is like, uh, when you talk about medium level, you have to cover it the whole thing, right? You don't say you don't get to choose between, let's say I would only do till trees and not graphs or DP, right? Do that as well, but do the easy questions if you are not if you don't want to do CP and all, but still do that, because like you don't, so generally companies like Sahaj don't as such ask CP questions, but some of the concepts like DP and all you can use in those questions. So I've seen some questions where DP was used, but it was like simple DP, not that hard. So I would say cover the entire breadth of the DSA topics. And if you are interested in, go till hard questions, but for Surge you won't need that. Uh, Easy, medium should be fine. They won't ask as such easy, but medium should be fine.
All right. All right. So if anyone has any questions, they can drop in the chat. Okay, I think there are no more questions. So thank you, Amit, for joining us, for like sharing all your insights regarding whole placement scenario. Right. So thank you, everyone. Uh, let's meet again soon.
Yeah, thanks for inviting. Yeah.
Yep.
Have a
Bye
good day.
bye.
Bye.
Yes. Bye.